Tonight on Environmental Physiology, Matt makes a fool of himself. Stay tuned. Hello, my environmental class. How is everybody doing? I hope you are doing well. Wanted to get a video out to you guys. Now, this one is going to be one of the labs or activities that we were going to be doing in class, but for some reason we can't meet. I wonder what that is. So we're going to be doing some pegboard stuff. I got one right here. And I also have the other one sitting here on my desk. But you're going to see the video here of me going through it, probably making a fool out of myself a little bit. I was kind of dancing around somewhat when I put my hands in ice water. And that was the purpose of the test, is to look at the time it took to put the pegs inside the pegboard while my hands were just normal. They were nice and warm, like, thermoneutral, if you will. And then also dunking them in ice water for a minute, and then seeing what the time difference is of me completing those tasks. So enjoy the video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And I hope you enjoy my background if you haven't seen it yet. And there is a slight little variance to this test that I do want to mention, is that you can see this big ring right here. And this is where you could actually put these pegs, and you'll see in the video that I don't actually put them in there. I just grab them from this location here. Either way works. And as long as it is consistent within a study or a trial, probably isn't going to make much of a difference. Plus, this is for just purposes of the class and testing procedures and seeing what the cold is going to actually do to your hands and your dexterity for that. So one little, I don't know, I guess you could look at it as a mistake I made, I guess. I'm not perfect. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll come back to you after everything is completed. Okay, a couple tests that we were going to run in class with the pegboard, and we were going to look at our dexterity when our hands are really cold. So I got a bunch of different things here on the table. I have a pegboard that is known as the Jamar pegboard, which I will go into in a second. But the main one that is used quite often, this is known as the Purdue pegboard. Let me get the little thing here. See, Purdue pegboard, made in the good old USA. Oh yeah. So what this is a pegboard, and it has these little wee pegs in it. I'll grab one for you. And they just simply go into the little holes into the board itself. This board is a polymer, and you'll just simply go down and put these in. Now you can do this test a bunch of different ways. You can either do just right hand, you can do just left hand, you can do both at the same time. There's little markers here where you can maybe just do little parts at a time. Also, with these, in addition to the pegs, you have kind of thicker, washers, as well as the thinner washers that you could put on there. So you could do combinations where, say, the pegs are in place, you could put a thin washer down and put that one on to do different tests. So how that would look is you would basically grab one, and then you would grab a thin washer, place it on, and then put a thicker washer and place it on. So there's a lot of different tests that you can perform with this pegboard, a lot of different options. Also, they give you, with this, they'll actually give you a sheet, a pegboard score sheet. So they got numbers for right hand, left hand, both hands, right, left, and both, and looking at the different times that are essentially average for certain individuals. So what we're going to do, and normally it's 3 trials, but I'm going to just do one trial, go through the whole thing as a control, and then I'm going to go over here and dip my hands in the ice water that I have for as long as I can. I'm going to use my phone as a timer, and I'm guessing probably a minute. I'll go as long as I can, and then I'll dry them off real quick, and then go right to the test and try to time and see what the difference is between the control when my hands are nice and warm and when my hands are cold. I'm also going to be using the Jamar test. This one is a little bit different. It's smaller, obviously, but the pegs themselves, sorry for the shakiness, I need to turn the camera screen back on. The pegs themselves are irregularly shaped. So there's a little, I guess, they're key-shaped, essentially. There's a little dingus right there on that side running the whole length of the peg. So these pegs have to go in a certain way, as you can see from the board. And you can also see the light from the camera. How's that? So you got the pegs that need to go in a certain way, so these can be a little more difficult. You may pick it up and it may be pointed in the complete opposite direction, and you have to actually spin it to get it in. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. After I'm done with this one, I'm going to be doing this one. I'll probably give my hands a little bit of time to rest afterward, but we're going to be doing this Jamar pegboard as well. It's known as the Jamar grooved pegboard in that case. So let's go ahead and get to it. I got my timer here, and we are going to start right now. Again, just working down. If you happen to pick up 2 of them at a time, you need to drop one and get them in there, and that's why you would do multiple trials and then do at least an average of the 3, and you can even do more than 3 if you needed to. And also doing this a couple times ahead of the test itself and even the trials, just to have some familiarization with it, so you can kind of get the coordination down a little bit. But it's really not too hard of a test. Used quite often in any type of cold research, especially with hands and dexterity. And it doesn't have to be specifically to the hands, but it could just be part of the testing that is done. So obviously when we're cold, our hands are not working nearly as well. Hands are working fairly good right now. So that was about 55 seconds on the clock. So 55 seconds, and I will go ahead and there it is. There's my control for the Purdue. I'll just do 55 seconds for there. So again, I'm only going to do one just to demonstrate this, but I can almost guarantee that it's probably going to be a little slower, even if I would do the multiple trials and average them. I'm probably going to get somewhere in there. I might be able to get down to 50 seconds if I hurry up a little bit, don't stumble any. But we at least got a standard time for it. So move on to the Jamar pegboard, making sure that it's flush. My table was a little wobbly, so I need to get it perfectly square where it's not wobbling around too much. How's that for redneck? Good, right there. Okay, so we're going to do the Jamar pegboard. Reset. And this one can be right hand or left hand, but I'm just going to do my right hand in this case because that is my dominant hand. So I'm going to see what that is, what that's like and what the difference is. So we're going to start right now. Already off the bat, you can see how it's a little bit different in that it can be a little tougher to get all these in place exactly. And it's going to take a little bit more time to get all these pegs in there. Oh my goodness, and I dropped one. You have to orient them the correct way. But I'm not doing too bad, I don't think. It's a little bit, and then you end up dropping them. And I'm dropping them when my hands are warm. My hands are cold. I'm sure that it's going to be even worse than that. So there, we're getting down to the wire. Almost there. One more row left. And there. Get in there. Oh, I dropped one again. And one last one. And stop. Okay, 1 minute and 17 seconds. So I'll write that down for the control for the Jamar. 1 minute, 17 seconds. Okay, so we got our two numbers. 55 seconds for the Purdue and 1 minute and 17 seconds for the Jamar. So again, you would normally do 3 trials, get the average, and then do also the average even with like an ice bath or whatever cold air exposure with your hands for the dexterity. So let's move on to the ice bath. Okay, so we're going to move the ice bath over here, and I'm going to time myself how long I'm actually putting my hands in there. Essentially, I'm going to put them in there until they really start to hurt. And once they start to hurt, then I'll take them out, dry them off real quick. That way my hands aren't too slippery, and being able to do the pegboard. So here we go. And so just keeping my hand in there. It's already starting to hurt. Oh my goodness. It's only been 10 seconds. Yep. I think a minute is gonna do it for this. Okay, here we go. 25 seconds. Oh my God. I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh man. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, a minute is all I can do. Stop, and we're gonna start. Oh my God, my fingers are so cold right now. Even after a minute in the ice bath, that is crazy. That started to hurt basically by 10 seconds. I was able to get to a minute. Oh my goodness. I can feel my hands are starting to warm up a little bit, but the dexterity still is maybe not quite there. We're going just a little bit slower. I feel them starting to warm up a little bit, but it's getting tough to actually get them to move. All right, they're actually starting to feel okay now. Definitely recovering fairly quickly. And oh, a little more. Okay. All right, there we go. It was 2:12 on the timer, and I'm pretty sure that that was over a minute. I'm gonna have to go back and check because I wasn't able to actually get it reset in time. So, but I was still able to get the entire pegboard completed. So we'll look at the numbers after we're done, and then the Jamar pegboard will be next. Okay, we're going to be moving on to the Jamar pegboard. Again, this is the grooved pegboard with the little grooved pieces there. And I'm going to just be using my right hand in this. So we're going to see exactly how much time will pass with this one. And I'm only going to be putting my right hand in the water this time. So we'll start now. Try to keep it in there a minute, but I don't know if I can go a minute. That was rough for the Purdue pegboard. It doesn't actually feel too bad. Now it's starting to hurt. Okay. Starting to hurt a little bit. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm trying to like grab ice so I can. Oh my goodness. Ugh, this hurts, guys. You probably seem like a wimp right now, but oh my goodness. Try this sometime. Dunk your hand in ice water for 45 seconds or a minute. Okay, 12 more seconds, 12 more seconds, 12 more seconds. Oh my God. 3 more seconds. Okay, okay, okay. And we're going to stop there. We're going to reset it. And I'll dry my hand off real quick. Start the timer. Oh, I can't even feel the pegs themselves. Like, my hand is so numb. My fingertips have like no feeling at the moment. I'm sure that's probably going to change here in a minute or so once I start to dry out a little bit. Starting to feel a little better. I mean, part of it is you can't hardly feel the pegs, but the other part of it is the hands are, or at least the fingers are painful, and the pain is distracting you from accomplishing the task. That can be the problem. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're down to one more row, I think. That actually went fairly smooth. All right, surprising result. 1 minute and 13 seconds. 1 minute and 13 seconds. So that would be the reason why you would actually do an ice or a control trial multiple times, is because that 1 minute and 17 seconds may not have actually been the average. It may have actually been slower or a little bit quicker, I mean. And so that's how experiments go sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well, but it worked out on the Purdue Pegboard. I know I was longer on that one. This one is really dependent upon picking it up and putting it correctly into the peg. So even in a control trial, you may actually be able to put it in and pick it up just in the right way. And if you do that over maybe half of these to where you don't have to twist it, that's saving, a half a second or so over these, over the entire board itself. So, okay, I'm going to go back and redo this pegboard, the control, because it did seem like the first time that I did it in the control, it seemed like it took me a little bit longer than normal. And it seemed like the ice trial, I was picking them up, and for whatever reason, they seemed to be in the correct position when I was putting them in. So that may have helped a little bit. So I'm going to redo this one starting now. My hand has recovered fairly well, so I'm going to hopefully do okay on this test. Don't feel like I'm stumbling nearly as much on this one. So actually feels pretty close to what the ice trial was, but just much, much quicker. In that when I pick up the actual pegs themselves, looking at the holes and trying to orient them in my fingers, having a little bit of hand-eye coordination there. And this one is under a minute, 56 seconds. So there you go. 56 seconds. So 16 seconds less than what the ice trial was, and a much, much less. We're looking at over 20 seconds quicker in that control trial. So again, that's why you would do it multiple times. That way you can get an average of what it is. And more than likely, if you were doing this, you would probably take this trial and throw it out and do 2 more after this second one. Try to get them fairly close to one another. So anyway, I had to redo that one because it just didn't seem right. So it gives us better data in that case to look at the hand dexterity. Again, my hands are recovered. I think so. So thanks for watching. How much fun was that, huh? Watching me squints, it almost looked like I had to go to the bathroom or something. At least that's what my wife said when she watched the video. Anyway, it was quite painful to put your hands in water, ice water, for that long. I mean, I'm not sure what the temperature of the water was, but it was pretty darn cold. I mean, those were a bunch of ice cubes that we had, and I had pretty cold water already in there, so it was at least right at freezing. So it wasn't sitting in room temperature for very long, and the ice didn't really melt all that much. So, and I was trying to grab some ice cubes with it. So, with putting my hands in there, I was trying to grab the ice cubes and make it even more painful, I guess, trying to do some pain on myself. Because that's kind of part of the test is it can be, not only are your hands cold and it's tough to move the fingers because the joints are getting colder, the tissues are getting colder, that's a little bit tougher to move, and the muscles aren't as responsive, but the pain itself is actually starting to come in your mind a little bit and start to affect how you're going to perform on those specific tasks. So if anyone has ever been in a situation like that, you know that any little dexterity that you should have is almost gone, or at least deteriorated to the point where you can't complete tasks really well. And that was the point of the test, is to show that. So, and again, I did want to reiterate that the pegboard test, this one, again, having the pegs in here probably would have been the best thing to do. Grab them a little bit easier, but I kept it consistent of grabbing it out of the little bin up at the top there. So not a huge deal, but something that I still want to point out to you guys. So anyway, if you have any questions, if you have any comments to it, please let me know. You can probably try some of these at home. You just need some ice or ice water, or if it's a really cold day, putting your hands just outside without any gloves on for a while. It's going to take a little bit longer with cold air versus cold water. But if you have maybe a drill or a drill press, you can put little holes in a piece of board and maybe get nails and use those as the pegs. So there's a bunch of different things. Or you can get those little pegboard games from Cracker Barrel that have the golf tees in them. Those would work perfectly. Now you'd have to do the game a little bit differently. You're just basically trying to put the golf tees inside the holes. But anyway, you get the idea. And so there's a bunch of different ways you can get a little bit creative of finding ways to recreate a test like this. So anyway, if you have any questions, you have any comments, please let me know. Good seeing you guys, I guess. So hopefully we're going to chat here soon. And if you have any questions, let me know. Take care.